separate updates since then, each bringing something changed or completely new to the build. Well, the developers certainly sound dedicated, and that's good, and from the looks of it, it's paying off. Over 1 million people are playing the game, and it's relishing in positive feedback. As of today, version 1 has been officially released over on Steam for newcomers to buy, and Introversion Software has kindly asked me to give it a look-see. But I feel I must admit, this normally doesn't look like something I would play. Everyone's got their personal preferences after all, but would you believe the last game I played that was similar to this was SimCity for the Super Nintendo? I'm shaking off some major rust here, so I'm hoping I can head into this without looking like a damn fool. Prison Architect puts you in the hands of an upcoming architect. I'm sure there was a better way of writing that, but it's true. You're given a plot of land to make your ideal prison, perfect for containing criminals of all security levels, whether they're the most despicable of murderers or someone just going through a rough patch. Yes, I was also thinking of zero punctuation when I looked at the graphics initially, and I still sort of do, but the way the characters are designed isn't really the point of the game, it's everything else around them. Oh, if it were only as simple as keeping criminals locked in their cells. Let's assume for a second you're not playing in sandbox mode, though I'll get into that soon. Prison Architect requires a dexterous player because building things is only a fraction of what you do here. It's all about the micromanagement of both the buildings you create and the people living or working in them. Anybody can make a foundation and give it a door, but what about what's inside those buildings? For example, say you want some jail cells. Well, you gotta fit them to the correct dimensions first, giving them beds and toilets to complete the set. But you also need to make sure the building is properly powered, and those toilets aren't gonna flush into the ground, so you'll need an electrical generator to give the place light, and a healthy supply of water from a water pump. But the prisoners need to be processed and frequently watched, so you need guards, CCTVs, and riot gear. And you don't want everyone to starve, so you need a kitchen, a canteen, and most importantly, cooks to actually make the food. If something should happen to your staff or prisoners get a little rowdy, you'll need doctors, who also need a sick bay to be stationed to. Staff can also get physically exhausted, so they'd like a little lounge area too, if you please. Classrooms to get basic education, chapels to give lost souls some faith, visitation centers to keep in contact with families, spacious yards to get some fresh air. All of this while practicing good time management because time stops for nobody, and it takes a bit for all the pieces to fall in place. Jeez, you are a prison architect. Now, I'm sure they're taking some liberties here and there, but you got your work cut out for you from the moment the game begins, and this like totally shits on like Papers, Please, where you're sitting on your ass and just like fucking pounding papers pretty much the entire day. I would think the greatest challenge is keeping everything within the budget, however. You don't have unlimited funds. Everything costs money to do, and when starting off, there's a number of variables to keep in mind, something like the initial size of your prison. If it's too big without enough prisoners to make back the funds, you just put yourself in a financial corner. I recommend hitting that pause button to think of a battle plan because this game gets freaking tense when the cogs begin to turn. I swore a bead of sweat rolled down my head when I opened up my first prison, and it only had like 10 inmates, but I was running short on cash, and I hope to God everything worked out in the end so I can make back my money. Otherwise, it's another fire-filled purge for me. Smells like failure. But if this all seems overwhelming for you, and I didn't even get into the little intricacies of scheduling and recreational programs for the inmates, Prison Architect gives you additional options to contemplate. If you want to, you can play in sandbox mode, where you have infinite money to spend as you want, and build as much as the land allows you to. Of course, you still need a fully functional prison in the end, but you can really flex your creative muscles here. Just take a gander at the Steam Workshop page for the game. I get my jollies just from looking at these things. Like, I don't want to tamper with any of it because who am I to ruin the USS Enterprise, huh? A jerk, that's who. Or the Borg. As for another option, Prison Architect brings us a story campaign. A total of 5 chapters are available focusing on different scenarios for separate characters, going through the kind of situations one can face living inside a prison. And it's surprisingly enriching. Don't let the graphics fool you. It's a tale of human misery and corruption that I want to see continue, and I hope it does. But this campaign also serves as a way to break in new players on how they can get the most out of being a full-fledged prison architect in other modes. You're given more than enough money to make the most out of things, but story-related events like riots and prison fires keep you on your toes so that you can't slack off. So if Prison Architect seems intimidating at first, I personally recommend the campaign or sandbox mode. I wouldn't say Prison Architect is not for those of weak constitution, but I feel it asks more than what the player is probably accustomed to at this day and age, with the sheer amount of variables to keep an eye on. But this is also assuming you're into sim games at all. As someone who doesn't often play this sort of game, most of my enjoyment came from the aforementioned campaign and sandbox, because I was able to ease myself into it, and I think the interface is user-friendly enough to get everyone to understand the mechanics. But version 1 is also rocking a brand new mode called Escape, where you control a prisoner, and attempt to ditch whatever prison you've generated, or perhaps download it from the Steam Workshop. By building a reputation, you can recruit members to your squad and make a name for yourself inside these walls of confinement, and then you can eventually plan your escape, either by taking on the guards head on, or escaping via a tunnel in your toilet. See? I knew those were nature's warp pipes. You can build your rep by starting random fights with other prisoners, or you can also break things, and the idea of getting a tougher image by repeatedly breaking chairs seems very humorous to me. Hey, I'm just giving the construction crew more work, nothing wrong with that, am I right? Yeah, that's right, go about your business. I'm just gonna keep fucking these shirts up. Escape mode brings a whole different level of tension to the game because it's all a giant process. You gotta build that rep, you gotta find the right tools to escape, and then when all the pieces come together, you gotta follow your plan to the T and hope the fuzz don't catch your ass or get the upper hand, because you risk losing everything. My hands were shaking when I got this far with my crew, but when you can manage to win, I swear it's like hitting the daily lottery. Version 1 of Prison Architect is available today on Steam for the standard price of $29.99. You can read all about it by clicking on the link in the description below and buy it if you're interested. Later this week, I'm going to do a short live stream of it so I can elaborate on details I didn't cover in this video. Thanks again to Introversion Software for letting me try out version 1 of the game, and I hope everything works out for them. But for all of you watching, I got the Super Mario Maker review coming very shortly. Thank you all for waiting on that one. And I thank you all for watching. You have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care.
Alright, testing 1 2 3 1 2 3. Mic check. Aha. Mic check 2 1 2. Alright, just shaking off some rust here, ladies and gentlemen. Just shaking off some rust. Using the headset this time because I got it fixed. And by that I mean I applied duct tape to the left earbud because it kind of cracked on me 2 weeks ago. Hence why I had to use the external mic. Though, preferably, the external mic is the way I want to go for future live streams. Alright, let me get my page up and running. Go live. According to this, it says the way I want to go for future. There we go. See, we already got some people here. I'm looking at the chat via my YouTube gaming site. The web address is really easy to find. It's gaming.youtube.com/somecallmejohnny. Yep, nothing out of the ordinary there. See, we got some people here already. Mr. Sonic, El Español Gamer, Woody the Starman, Nitro Mario, Sanic Bum, I think I recognize that name, Hades Comets Void, Rars, Pokeplayer HQ, Robmaster 20. Yeah, it's good to see you guys all here already. So, I have to do some live streaming here because I feel like it, and I haven't had the time to practice Yoshi's On for SGB in the past weekend because I just got back from a trip to Pittsburgh and everything is good and fine over there. So I'm back in Philly. So I figured, hey, let's play some Yoshi's On because I'm not gonna have some time for the rest of this week to get back to this game before I have to meet up with the guys later down the week to play and finish Yoshi's On because we're at World 6 now in terms of recording. Let me set the playback rate. That's why there's no volume coming out through the speaker. 1 second. Let me see. Record Alban Valley Mixer. There we go. The game's a little too loud on my end. There we go. That should be a little better. Let me minimize XSplit. Move that to the right. Yeah, I am using an emulator, by the way, in case it wasn't obvious enough. So the way I'm practicing here. Well, actually, let me before I do that, let me stretch my arms a bit here. Stretch my legs. I've been on a train for like the last 7 hours. Pittsburgh to Philadelphia via Amtrak is about a 7-hour ride with stops, so it's a bit of a long one, but I like it. It's pretty cozy, very scenic. Get to catch up on reading, gaming in your backlog. Reading. I wouldn't recommend the food though. Amtrak cafe cart food is not the best, but luckily every station that you board for Amtrak have concessions